Hey everybody, thank you for coming to the Outreach Committee meeting on September 18th. The Computational Computing Consortium, or someone maybe mute. I hear background noise. Thank you. We are a community focused on open source licensed projects, securing data in use, and accelerating the adoption of computational computing through open collaboration. Every member is welcome, and every project meeting our criteria is welcome here. We are a transparent and collaborative community, and we welcome everyone's collaboration here. Antitrust policy, for your information. Any questions? If you have, feel free to reach out to Rian or Renu on this call. Okay, today we will be going over some updates on the brand repositioning working group. We'll review the CCC blog content that went out this past month. We'll go over upcoming events and open CFPs, as well as some quick preview of 2025 events that I pulled that I want to share and discuss with y'all. Okay. Rian,
I have received no updates or corrections for the agenda for last week, or the last meeting. So if there's no objections or additions, I think we can accept the minutes for the previous meeting as is.
Okay. Does anyone in this call have any objection or questions from last meeting? If not, we can approve and move forward.
That's approved. Thank you very much.
All right. Ab or Rachel? Are they here?
Yes.
Hi, yes.
So
Hi.
Rachel will walk us through the update.
Yeah, happy to do so. And then moving on to next slide, I'm happy to provide the updates for the brand repositioning working group so far. So some key progress. First of all, CCC glossary topic was brought up in the tech meeting last time to ensure that CCC glossary linked in the messaging guide reflected consensus across the committees. And Saul brought this item to the tech meeting. And Saul, would you like to chime in and regarding this update?
Yeah, so we have two glossaries that we're sort of paying attention to. There's our glossary, the CCC one, which is on our GitHub, which is where we're storing all of the conversations around these definitions. But we're also working and have been working with the CSA, the Cloud Security Alliance, on their definitions and making sure that those are the same. So with both of those, I'm working with the GRCs, who are Government Regulation and Compliance Group, for some of these definitions, like workload identity. And we're working with the SIGs with specifically attestation to make sure that we have remote attestation and a few of those definitions really clearly defined. But what I would like us to make sure is that in the next month, finishing up and getting into next 2 weeks, I'm going to be in these meetings and working groups, but I really, really want to make sure that if we can have a point of contact, if you have a specific point of contact between outreach and one of these SIGs, make sure to make a note and reach out to them and say, do we have these definitions confirmed with our company? Are we doing this as a member? Because these definitions, and if we solidify them, we're moving forward with them and they're going into your marketing details. So yes, that's currently where those are at, but you can look at the CCC GitHub for any of the current updates, because that's where they should be sitting. But hopefully we have these definitions done by September. That's what I'm trying to do by October 1st.
Thank you, Saul, for the insights and updates. Really appreciate your help in driving this. So another update we have. Oh, go
sorry,
ahead.
quick question. Sal, can you repeat the last point about the members? Sorry, I'm not sure I understood that.
Yeah.
Point.
So I think some of these definitions, particularly the ones that we're taking to GRC, right, things like workload identity, I think the reason why these definitions have been a little bit more challenging is it's not like the CNCF right definitions. Some of these are things that differ slightly in the language that's been used technically originally and now in your marketing materials, right? So what I would want to be very clear on is if we come forward with CCC definitions, really do make sure, have you talked to your legal and your marketing about being happy with these definitions, right? So that's what I mean when I say to these definitions specifically, because this could have a big impact on the way that you need to refactor your own materials. Make sure that you're happy with that as a corporate member, right? So
Yeah, so just to make sure I understand. So basically, for example, for my case, I would need to consult internally within AMD to see that AMD is okay with that, and each member should do the same to make sure that so at the end we don't end up in another round or churn of like going around. Okay,
yeah.
is my understanding correct?
Exactly, yeah. And some of
Okay,
the things that you should pay more attention to, so GRC, workload entity, these things I don't think are going to be things that are going to make a big wave in either way, but really make sure that everyone agrees on this remote attestation definition
got
so that we can see.
it. Okay, yeah, thanks for clarification.
And another update the working group has is that the working group continue to review and provide the feedback on the use cases for the messaging guide. So the use cases discussed included computational computing for generative AI, multi-party collaboration, and supply chain security. And out of all those use cases, then there is a limited market research and topic coverage on the supply chain use case. So we agreed to bring supply chain use case to this week's tech for tech meetings and committees input and guidance. And next one, the working group also discussed the importance of ensuring accuracy in analyst reports used for engagement. So I will be requesting those samples and then have them reviewed by the CCC leadership for accuracy and relevance to our consortium's goals. And the last update is that the working group also proposed revisiting the scope and timeline for the computational computing brand repositioning working group based on the current progress. This review and revisit will help us align the future actions with updated goals and ensure that the project remains on track. So these are all the key updates. And anything else that people would like to add from this working group? If not, then Kate, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I love seeing the progress in the brand repositioning working group. And maybe on the next call or whenever the working group's ready, when we kind of draft the messaging, the bone structure. I know we're like reviewing the use cases to include it in the verbiage and whatnot. Maybe bring it to the outreach and so that we can all take a look. That would be great.
Yeah,
Sure, then we'll do that. Yeah.
yeah, we can do that.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership there. I just wanted to call out, so CCC has been publishing a blog series authored by Sal. Thank you so much. We've covered various topics that, oh, I have typo there, but various topics that contributed by, also coordinated with projects, correct, Sal? For the August series that we published throughout this month.
Yes, my Wi-Fi is coming in and out, but I see the slide, can discuss.
Okay.
So yeah, so specifically, I've been writing a blog series because it does two things that are really important for us in the marketing way. We don't have a lot of content that we can like backlink and forward link. And what I need this to look like in the back end is a little like balled nest, right? All of these topics need to link to each other. What's beautiful about this is all of these series will always have at least 1 to 2 links to a specific open source project. So we can use that as, right, these are all open source project marketing themed, right? That's just the way that we can do the metrics around these, because this should be able to tie to contributions and to specifically like hit. So what this does moving forward, I think the series help because they're like thematic. We can do some really good, clear metrics on them. But also, it means I can hand you literally 7 blogs at once, all around a specific topic and space, and we can think about the use cases and all of the technical aspects of that we can carry forward. In these blogs, I have the chance to do, right, not just, we don't have to wait until the next KubeCon. I can start bleeding forward some of your new technology into them. So this specific series was all about the basics of our, right, the foundations of the ways that our different open source projects differ. I'm just putting out a series on regulatory compliance for AI, which I want everyone's eyes on, and I want you to add any details from your corporations that you think would be interesting in that narrative so that we can share them. And the last blog series that I'm getting out in September is going to be a multi-cloud confidential computing series so that we get all of that really out there in October, ready for KubeCon. So I like thinking about these this way. So if we can think of series and sort of longer form topics that you think are really going to highlight the power of confidential computing, these are a nice happy medium between a regular blog and a white paper. And I think that it's working. So with that very long preamble, do look at these and review the next series so that we get as much in them as we can.
Right. So next one coming up is we have a regulatory series that covers remote attestation, governance, federated learning, and so much more. We'll be able to share. I mean, you all have access to content calendar, which Jen will populate those into the calendar to stage the post. But basically, we can share with the group here for your folder, so. And maybe they have comments or feedback before we actually stage them.
Yeah, so where is the best place for me to send these out to for review? Do we want them linked to the Slack or do we want them in an email? Or do you want them linked to?
I would I would share with Rian. Rian sends out the minute to the all outreach members anyways. I think that would be a good place for now. But I'll think more about it for a more fundamental way going forward.
Yeah, perfect. Cool.
Okay. And you all know that we do repost, and also we can publish your content as the author. So keep that in mind, and then feel free to use the link, the content submission form, which is also on our website in the front page. So feel free to find those and submit those. And that's kind of where the location where Jen, our marketing PM, manages and all her projects. Okay. We go to the next slide. So Rachel attended this event. It's called AI Hardware and Edge AI Summit, which they are rebranding to AI Infra Summit for next year and forward. And we have a good relationship with the organizers. The organizers are same organizers as the PET Summit as well, the Privacy Enhancing Technology Summit. And they have reached out to us for some collaboration opportunities and whatnot, but we have not experienced this event before. And Rachel is local in the area, so gracefully she agreed to attend the event, and would love to give a just really quick high level takeaway preview, if you can, Rachel.
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity for me to attend this summit. So the main takeaway is that overall, I think the summit is a great opportunity to attend, and it was relatively small in size, but there are a lot of the decision makers and C-suites from those key players in the AI infrastructure space. So I definitely think the name change reflects on their audience. So this can be very important for competition computing. And I would say that right now, the conference currently has little focus on the security. And there are also very few enterprise customers attendees actually attending the summit. So probably its direct relevance to CCC is limited at this moment. However, I do think that it offers an opportunity for CCC to shape the future discussions on AI security when it becomes more relevant in the future for the summit. And this is a strategic opportunity for us to consider. For example, we can help bridge the gap by bringing enterprise customers or security topics to the table and driving those security conversations and security requirements in AI infrastructure companies. So those are my main takeaway.
I have a quick, I think it's just, I mean, it's absolutely anecdotal and it's individual, but over the course of this year, and this has been, right, this is my 9th month looking at events in CCC, I've noticed a specific difference in the audiences between events and even talks that are different, right? So if I get PETs and AI, I'm still getting the one audience that I'm always really careful to look for is like banking, because I know that they're very active and educated in it. And I'm much more likely to be getting all of the enterprise banking audiences at PET spaces. And I'm not even saying PET conferences, but I do think that's just interesting. Something that we might want to be paying more attention to, because our audiences are there, and then I just tell them to go over to the other talk, and they need our talk as well, but it's just not hitting them. So for whatever reason, PET is still getting to our audiences, but yeah.
Yeah, great call out.
The SEO on
that. Yeah, so thank you, Rachel, again. This gives us great insights and information into what the conference was like. The organizer did mention it had 1,300 attendees. Did you feel like that was the number?
I think this is consensus from a lot of people I've talked to that the conference was, I would say, like a little bit small in size, and just given that there are also competing events and in the similar time frame, and but we all agree that like all those attendees are very like influential in that they are decision makers and C-suites of those companies.
Mhm. Yep. Okay, great takeaways. Thank you so much again. Does anyone else have an insight into this event? Do your company attend or sponsor? I know AMD was big sponsor on this this conference. I don't know if you had any.
Yeah, no, I was not personally involved, but yeah, I've had a couple of people internally reach out to me, but I was just out, not on this, but I'll try to gather feedback.
Yeah, and like Rachel mentioned, the security was, almost, zero to small a portion of the topic that was covered here. So that's definitely an opportunity that we can look at. But all of these are very, very good insights. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then just to add on that, I don't know if I mentioned this, and so the audience are mostly top AI infrastructure companies and varying in size. So they include hyperscalers, IP licensing firms, system providers, and vendors.
Yeah.
I do have one last question. How much non-West Coast participation was this? Like, was it fairly global?
Yeah, it was fairly global.
Cool. Nice.
That's good to know. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, coming up, like I mentioned, tomorrow we have a mini summit. So these are the agenda that we have lined up. And we will be hearing the recap of Microsoft's talk, as well as all the speakers kind of take away and experience and perhaps in the next call. But all of these mini summit content will be recorded and for us to be able to share via many different avenue, except the TikToks dog. With their policy, they do not want to be recorded, but otherwise other talks are recorded and will be available for everyone to watch. Okay, So if your team is based in there or nearby or already attending OSSEU, feel free to share this agenda and this event. It's tomorrow at 1:30 till 5 Vienna time. So yeah, we'd love to have some more folks. To me, it was a little bit confusing for the registration because people had a hard time to just finding Mini Summit link to register because it's just in nature, you need to be registered for the OSS EU first, and then they can add this co-located event. So this is something that I learned this time. Okay, we'll move on to next. So we have some engagements. I wanted to capture some of these. This is mixed up of our speaking opportunities and also the sponsorship that's coming up. So Sal, do you want to quickly talk about the IAPP?
Yeah, so IAPP is they are like governance and compliance, and they are really focusing on governance and compliance certifications for AI. So it's where everyone is getting trained to deal with our regulation. I am going to be there on the 24th, 23rd, and 24th, and for an hour and a half, I'm going to be hosting a expert table which is specifically just says PETs and labels out the top 7. And my goal there is so when we're there, we've got the head of compliance for HP. We've got those kind of people that would come in and have a discussion around this and see if there's anyone who wants to come in and 1, help out with the GRC, and number 2, what that really gives me an opportunity to do is sort of dig into this question around everyone seems to be familiar with privacy enhancing technologies, but not CCC. Why and how have they gotten this education so far? And how can I convince them that its compute is AI is CC? Because that is true. So I'm going to come out of that conversation with, so I'm writing this blog series to speak directly to them, getting that series out all in a single dump so that when these lawyers and compliance officers come through, they can have all of that content and go directly to GRC. So that should help to sort of help out our community there. But after that, that's the last regulatory and compliance thing of the year. And when I say that, it means this conference sets the regulatory horizon for 2025. So I should be able to come back to the GRC, come back into our blogs with exactly what we should be thinking about there. And I will be attending IAPP just as an individual. I'm going to evaluate whether or not CC should be going there formally. But I do think bringing out some of the content there and making people aware on both sides is interesting to explore. So in terms of metrics, a couple of blogs that we can play with there and see if we get people into the GRC. If we don't get activation, then I think IAPP is a great place for training, but not for CCC.
Absolutely. Yeah, let us know if any way that we can support you there. That's great too, that you included this topic into your panel. Authenticate, I'm not 100% sure. I remember Microsoft mentioning this collaboration with Manu from HushMesh, but this one I just kind of put it in there just so that I don't forget, but I'm not sure if this is actually happening. The other one, SaaS Fusion, is I believe it's a security open source summit or something like that. So it's focused around security and open source. And this is, I think, first year they're hosting this event. So I am local in Atlanta, so I will be attending to check out the event. Sal is giving a talk titled there. So we will be checking out this event and see what it's all about. But Sal, you're kind of involved in this community quite a long time, or have you?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, it's open source, but this seems to be, it's a new conference and it's the Linux. I think it would be really interesting to sort of engage with that group because it's a lot more OpenSSF just because that's sort of like bigger and broader. But we've got all of our open source projects to show off. So I'm really curious what comes out of that because it's the perfect talk for that audience. but no
Okay.
idea what to expect because it's brand new.
Absolutely. So we'll go check it out. Next one in October is OSS Japan. As you know, we have sponsorship. We earned a talk session slot. So Microsoft will be providing the talk titled this and in the slide. And for Intel side, I have a customer and Intel team lined up to meet with Microsoft. And if anyone else has a team that would like to connect or meet with Microsoft locally in Japan, feel free to reach out to Microsoft directly or let Rian or myself know. He would love to meet as many folks as he can while he's there. KubeCon, we'll have another slide, next slide, but RSAC. So RSA, we had a two kind of a collaboration this year. So one was associate partnership, which is free. It's kind of like a barter. We agreed to cross promote. We're going to promote RSA, their, whatever the promotional content they want, that's in our agreement, like 3 newsletters or, one dedicated email and social posts and so on and so forth. So, and with that exchange, they're going to also promote CCC in our content. We also publish the blog through RSAC site, so that actually reach the bigger audience and reach. So that's one. That's free. That's a barter. And the other part that we agreed this year was the booth space. And as an associate partner, we get a tremendous discount. RSA is really, really expensive, but for us, it was extremely affordable. And I did inquire that for next year, but they're evaluating based on how many actually leads that we were able to bring and how much engagement that we were able to bring through our partnership. So all of those is in consideration, and after that, because they have a very limited space and they're going to offer it to the top partners. So that's still work in progress. I'm not sure if we're going to get a space, but we'll try. But that's where we're at in terms of RSAC. Okay, the next slide. Okay, the fonts were a little too tiny, but
Oh no.
Sal is shaping this conference and arrangement pretty nicely, and it's coming together. And this was emailed like a few days ago already, so you might have already updated version of this. But basically, we at the booth, I'll let you speak more. At the booth, we will host mini talks and demos, and we have a great
So
opportunity to.
oh no, I'm cutting it out. I'm sorry if I cut over you, but I just want to highlight a thing on here, and if you can hear me, that seems better. Okay. So KubeCon, I'm not sure the total attendance numbers, but we can definitely assume it's going to be around 13,000, definitely more than that probably this year.
Yep, just above that.
Yeah, so if those are the numbers, then we have to assume that our minimal coverage is going to be about 10%, right? That's base booth coverage if you did nothing at all. So we have to support that many people, plus this year, and at KubeCon they really are going to be. So we really are setting up, basically I'm trying to set up a mini summit at the booth. So what you can see here is that it's not just boothing times. We do need people to have an hour or two just to come and discuss their work and their involvement, and that's a great opportunity. We still have KubeCon's Cube Crawl spot open, which is the best spot of the schedule. So I would definitely take a look at that. But I'm going to continue sending out a couple of more updates. And what I really need our members to focus on are thinking about great 5, 10, and 15-minute demos around your current use cases and your current technical demos from the OS projects, which I am going and collecting now. what we're gonna have are two specific audiences there. We're gonna have sort of marketing and channel sales always is really busy on the floor at KubeCon. That's not really our audience for this group. It's the other 50% that are showing up for the developer crowd. So we 100% of the time need to be able to be demonstrating and showing our technical capacity there. So bring your demos and use cases to me. This is the best audience of the year. And if they're just recordings, that's great. If you're going to be remotely participating, that's excellent. But we need every member participating in KubeCon. It also is one of our last chances of the year to make sure that we've got all of our assets ready so that we've got videos and blogs and everything for Q1 of next year. So take this really seriously as if it is your best opportunity for marketing in the final quarter of the year, because it is. Please reach out to me if you've got any ideas or anything that you want to highlight.
Yeah, I think a lot of, I'm just looking at sponsor list. A lot of, I noticed a lot of member companies are also sponsoring, and perhaps they will have a booth space there. They will be physically there. So we may be able to leverage some of their staff so that now, no one extra has to travel if they're kind of constrained in the budget and travels. But yeah, that's one idea that we can increase. But yeah, I remember we had 7 companies that volunteered to be involved, and I think we have a booth coverage from 4 companies so far, right? So we definitely need more support and participation.
Yes, absolutely. And particularly on that Friday. So a little bit Wednesday, Thursday, but on Friday, we need full coverage so far. But I will be there. So
Sounds good. Thank you.
This is Yulia from Super Protocol. Just a quick, maybe general question. The topics, not the events itself, they are all offline. Do you have for this year or next year some agenda or plans to have more visibility online so that the whole content that is being presented also could be shared online, or maybe webinar series or something with every CCC member or something, I don't know, jointly? What's your plans? Or maybe you have already done it and it does not work. So what's the current situation now?
Well, I think I can speak to that. I think in terms of engagement strategies, the 2 things that we're doing for this are really, we're putting out a blog series in advance that explains all of our sort of technical updates. That means that people should have resources that have a narrative framework and links to our most up-to-date technology, right? I can reach out and find as much as I can from the members, but you need to deliver these to me. And especially, this is, on your side, this is the end of the year for your developers. You're going to have to kind of reach forward into their roadmaps and make sure that they're delivering at the end of the year, because they tend to slow down. And you need to make sure that if you had a release, for example, that was supposed to be delivered in this quarter or next, and you want to be able to communicate that, right? Those are the things that get really important in Q3 and Q4 of a year. So yeah, we've got the blog series, which you really, really want to put your focus on, because that's where we're going to capture the audience that's both live there and everyone that's not live there. So it's going to give you maximum exposure. And while we're live at KubeCon, every single possible demo, right? So that's our best possible exposure. But if you have any other engagement strategies that you'd like us to employ, let's discuss them and see if they work.
Thank you.
Yeah, and webinar is always an open opportunity, and we can host webinar series anytime, and we can target with the current hosting events. And if you cannot participate in person engagement, perhaps we can bridge that with the web digital engagement and things like that. So there's many ways to contribute, I feel like. And we always say we need these content that you all, every company is working on this and separately, and we need these content to be highlighted and to have more visibility. And CCC would love love to do that. So just keep that in mind. And feel free to bring it up. This is a community that we all kind of bring our own opinion and our suggestion, recommendation, and as a community, we make this happen. So it's you know, it's the member that you are here. That's a really important asset. Okay. All right. So there are two upcoming call for proposals that I noticed that I wanted to share with the community, but OC3 is Open Confidential Computing Conference. It is virtual, but I believe they're hosting it hybrid next year. But they have the call for proposals open currently, and it closes in December, so that you have some time there to submit your talk. The other one is the RSA conference that's actually closing in about 9 days. So this is a big conference. They have a 40,000 plus attendees every year in San Francisco. Great opportunity for great exposure, and definitely bigger audience. There are lots of security professionals and C-suite and enterprise and all the mix of things. So would love to see a lot of confidential computing talks there. So that's FYI. Okay. And again, this is a little too small, but so I like to, about like this time of the year, I did this same last year. Just kind of have this exercise to look at, okay, what kind of events that we have involved this year and what is in our tracker. I pull some more of a priority 1 and 2 into this roadmap here. And what I wanted to do is just also heads up that CCC won't have the same level of a sponsorship dollars for next year for events. So we will be likely to be asked to reduce in a way to be more sufficient. But that means we need to be really clear on our priority and what we're targeting and how we're targeting and how we engage. So some of these blue highlighted events are more likely we would be looking at sponsoring or monetary kind of a contribution there, but it's not set in stone. That's just what I kind of had to reduce into very few, and it might not even be this either. It might be even smaller than this. But what I wanted to share here is that there will be this kind of a practice, kind of a newer practice, where this year we did a lot of things to, we sponsor quite a bit actually, and whether or not bigger or small level. Not every sponsorship brings us all the ROI that we were hoping to get. So we will be evaluating that, and we need to focus our dollars supporting the right level at the right event. And some other events that we still think this is very, very important that I included here in the just regular black font color that we encourage CCC members to submit talks and be involved, and CCC will be able to support in any way that we can, just like the other, like that, it doesn't require dollars spending. For example, the cross collaboration with for blog or webinars or anything like that, we can amplify via CCC community, but also just regular submitted talks that's encouraged, and we will be sharing those cover papers so that y'all are aware and your team can submit confidential computing topic talks to these events. And some of the things that I noticed from looking at my last year's strategy was that we were mentioning a lot about different sector specific groups, which is like the healthcare, FSI, and government, like policymaker, those kind of verticals that we did go couple of them, but we didn't really get lots of ROI by by going or sponsoring. We did not sponsor any of those events. So that's something that we can keep in mind when we evaluate events. And if that's still very, very important for everybody. So these kind of, I wanted to kind of put it as the preview and just have something to react to and think about how we want to approach next year's events. But wanting to provide that insights that we might likely to be asked to reduce our sponsorship. Any
Kate,
questions?
are there, from Yulia, are there any KPIs that you are specifically tracking for choosing the event, which we could look at?
Yeah, so we have a very generic, very high level tracker, so which is also in this slide. But basically, we wanted to divide or identify the audience segment. So what kind of audience segment are we targeting? So this is what I try to separate in the roadmap here as well. But also, what is the outcome? Is this like new sector outreach, or is this the establishing the thought leadership, or is this the community supporting and development and really advancing the technology side? And so we have a very high level tracker, but it's definitely, it needs help. It needs the help of everybody to make more sustainable tracking, which, that's my kind of goal this year before this year end to build up something that whoever involved in these events can easily go in and really give quick KPI metrics inputted in the sheet. And spreadsheet is great, but it's just right now it's very broad and very lots of tabs, lots of columns. It's kind of confusing. So it's kind of my goal to create something that is easily accessible and easily understandable and trackable.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Any other feedback or comments on the event or just in general? I know.
Just a yeah. Just a thought about the considering the budget, considerations in 2025, and I don't know specifically how and what, but we considering maybe also see how we can seed the CCC messaging and position where it's relevant with companies, with members who are companies that are have their own event or participating in events where so it can highlight CCC mission or things like that. Just a thought at this point. I'm just literally brainstorming as I was thinking about the most likely a reduced budget in 2025.
Mhm. Yeah, and also we have to consider how companies are actually budgeting their employees' travels to these events. And I'm sure their sponsorship levels and their involvement, all those probably will affect our decisions as well. But just in general, I mean, we don't have like hundreds and thousands of budget for
Of course, yeah.
events, but we'll do our best to kind of hit the right target. So the point here is that we could be at a lot of places. We could, this year was more of let's really go hard on outreach. Like we increased the event presence probably more than 50% than last year. We went really amazing in this exposing and reach into many different events. And next year, what my suggestion would be, okay, now that we've learned some takeaways from these events and participations, are we hitting the right target? And let's kind of think about that. If we have a limited budget just like everybody else, where should we be at? And we're targeting the right kind of goals that we want to accomplish as a CCC. CCC's goal, is a collaboration of like collective goals of many members here, right? So that's something that we need to discuss as an outreach committee. That's like the events are owned by outreach. We are all owners of this activation. It's not just chairs. So yeah, this needs to be very considerate going forward. I brought up something similar last year, and then we had lots of iteration of a discussion. And in December or January, we all kind of agreed, okay, this event, yes, this event is go, this event is no go. So we actually did that one by one. So we might not have a lot of events to actually do that next year, but that's kind of a level of involvement that I want from our committee, because it affects our budget that all of us contributed.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, next. Okay, any open topics from anybody? If not, we'll wrap up our meeting here. Thanks everybody for discussion and participation.
Thank you.
See you
Thank
next time.
you. Thank you,
See you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.